Good evening, America. Welcome to the Asian All-American Podcast. Today we found the Cambodian funk, and I am your host, Jasmin with my co-host, JCool. We have a unique individual joining us. He is a first-generation Cambodian American from Long Beach, California. He is a graduate of the California State University of Long Beach with a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. On the other hand, he is also an unbelievable musician and artist as well. He sold out the House of Blues as a first-time headliner. He has written a self-published book, and he has represented the Cambodian American community to the fullest, never shying away from proclaiming who and where his roots are. We're excited to have his voice and spirit with us here today. His name is Boray Chow, but he goes by his artist name, GFunk.
Hey, yeah.
And one of his quotes that I really love is to elevate the systematic oppression of minorities through music and create opportunities for those in my community by breaking societal stereotypes and norms. Welcome, GFunk, to the show. How are you?
Turn up. That was quite the opening intro. I appreciate it.
And she worked on it all week, brother.
I like.
Make sure we got our facts right.
That's when preparation meets execution.
So let's just jump up on this quick question. It's gonna be a little heavy, real quick, all right. But what are your thoughts on the uprise and violence against Asian Americans during this coronavirus pandemic, brother?
I think for one to be able to have established a point in where America is right now. As far as being from California, we're so diverse. We got such a blend of cultures and stuff like that. To us, it seems weird because we got so many friends of different walks of life.
Right.
So it just seems, I don't know how they live out there, but it's almost disappointing to feel that we haven't reached that level of understanding for everybody's culture yet. That's one way how I feel. Another way how I feel, I think it exposes the truth in some people, and it teaches us how to be able to defend ourselves in terms of how to pick and choose where we give our energy to and who we give our energy to. You know what I'm saying? Not that we shouldn't be polite or nice to people, but at the same time, you got to have a certain type of walk or certain type of aggression to be able to stand your ground, to let people know that, they can't just talk to you a certain type of way. I think it's up to a lot of people to not have to so much fight aggression with aggression, but we got to be able to stand our ground and use our voice as a tool to speak up for others who aren't able to speak. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of touched on it, but what do you guys think? What can the Asian American communities, how can we come together and support each other through these difficult times?
My thing is, and everybody got a way of how they want to show their support or how they want to use their platform to speak. I'm more about action, right? I'm more about being out there and doing moves. So anything as far as helping build confidence within the community, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's supporting businesses, whether it's supporting people, whether it's just opening up dialogue. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the biggest thing is you can't have action if you don't have dialogue with your people, which is the first biggest step is being able to reach out, show your hand, be like, hey, let's talk. I don't know you or we don't know each other, but, being that we're from the same realm, I think we should open up this conversation and speak to one another to see how we can agree or compromise on what we think should do to move forward with all this. You know what I'm saying? Resolution or solution don't happen without failure of anything. And how do you come to a resolution of anything? You got to have people talk about, all right, what is it that can meet your needs? What is it that can satisfy what you want out of the situation? And first, you got to talk about it. If you're not vocal about what you think should happen, nobody knows, right? So the biggest step overall is to speak about it. Use your voice as a tool, as a platform. Say something. Say whatever you want. Say what's on your mind. Be honest. So yeah.
Oh, and I just wanted to say this is one of the biggest reasons why we started this podcast was to give our voices and especially Cambodian Americans, the Southeast Asian voices a representation. And I'm kind of gonna go to the next question. How do you feel about the Black Lives Matter movement, especially as a Cambodian American?
So the Black Lives Matter movement, what I tell people to do is always do their research, right?
Very,
Whatever you
very
who
important.
you're supporting, make sure you do your research on what links are being donated, who owns what, who's in charge of what, right? There's a lot of speculation on who actually owns Black Lives Matter, right? Supposedly it's some white dude. And not that I hold any judgment on who owns it or whatever like that, but you need to be specific on where and who you're supporting. As far as me, I'm all for it. I got a gang of Black homies that I grew up with. I'm in a culture that is run by Black culture, in the hip hop community.
Black culture, inspired by Black culture for sure.
Yeah.
And so it would be contradicting for me not to feel some type of way. I live around I grow up and been friends with Black homies, you know what I'm saying? And I'm more so just, what do you need? What do you need us to do? Can we pull up, whatever like that? I'm not really with the, I need to post something on social media to show I'm doing what, I'm doing this and that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But just also, being an artist, just using your voice as a tool, as a platform to help acknowledge your support. Because maybe there's some people who look up to me or who look up to you guys that are just unwary of, how to support or what ways how to approach the situation. And maybe they look up to people like you guys or like me for direction, you know what I'm saying? But as far as the protest, as far as them looking for answers and solutions to everything, I'm all for it, you know what I'm saying? I think for a long time, they just been feeling oppressed and they just got fed up with a lot. And I don't blame them, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Obviously, I think all of us have an appreciation or a knowledge about American history, right? And I think the problem is when immigrants come to the country, they're told a whole different type of American history, man. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want to say, but I'm gonna say it's like the white American experience, right? What they want you to sound like, what process that they want you, to go through to assimilate, right? That's not the real America that we grew up in, man. You know what I'm saying? And another thing is, like, if you don't know Black history, then you don't know how we were able to have the rights that we have right now, and we can't fully appreciate that. You know, I think when recent immigrants come now, man, they're too busy trying to provide for their family. You know what I'm saying? If they were told a certain type of American history that we said, okay, we listen, we take the test, cool. Can I get my green card, right? And they're just kind of unless you have Black friends and other Mexican friends and Nigerians and, these other cultures, then you won't have the time. You won't, have the time to kind of sit down and learn about it. You know what I mean? But, I think there's an education gap about the real American experience as opposed to what the government and the federal people want us to know and how they want us to assimilate, right? So I don't know. I have a little bit of a renegade kind of a feeling about it. I'm surrounded by a lot of activists, man, and heavy on African American history, man. You know what I mean? So how about you, Jazz?
I have a lot of teammates who are Black. I've been coached by Black people, and they're one of the amazing and most just amazing people I know. And I learned how to play basketball from them. I've been more culturally diverse, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate having a Black friend because a lot of people don't.
I think I think we have the luxury of being in a state where we're exposed to a lot of different people, a lot of different cultures and walks of life, that it's a luxury for us to be able to hang around these people, understand these people, and it gives us a better understanding of what I think real life is. Real life is not one typical way. Real life is not one cookie cutter, perfect American world, right? Real life is gutter, it is hard, a lot of bullshit, but it's real. You know what I'm saying? When you grow up tough, when you grow up real, you know, you learn answers of is really like, you know what I'm saying?
Like real quick too.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know though, as a Cambodian American and coming up as a rapper, who did you look up to? Because I don't really know a lot of Cambodian American rappers out there. Who are your musical influences?
So, you know, of course, like being from Long Beach, like Snoop was heavy, like, you know, Snoop,
right.
the whole G-Funk era.
Right.
And, you know, I just like the whole delivery. He was smooth, he was gangster, he was raw. But aside from him, I was always big into like R&B songs that like kind of hit your soul, things that sound good to you, that feel good. As I got older, you know, it elevated to people like JCool, Nipsey, Kendrick, you know, people like that, people that were actually saying things with a message. And that's as I evolved and got older as a person and matured and started just like understanding what the mission of life was really about, you know what I'm saying? And that's just as far as like a few of my inspirations and stuff like that. But like as far as Asian rappers, it's a gang. There's a lot of Asian rappers out there, you know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of them that's hard too, you know?
How did you find balance between education, right, and pursuing raps, man? How did you find that balance, dude?
It was, the balance became more of a want and a desire of wanting to achieve something. You know, it was a goal that I had set for myself, and the desire became bigger than the actual difficulty of what the mission was. So I knew that if I wanted to make music, I needed to have a plan. I wanted to be able to sustain myself without having to rely on anybody else, right? So I had a job, I was working, I had financial aid from school. I was going to school because I knew I needed a plan if rapping didn't work. So I made a plan for school to get my degree, you know, get up and out the hood. I needed a job to pay for studio time and to just pay for anything else. You know what I'm saying? Like mom wasn't always in the best position to pay me or give me money. So I had to get out there and get it on my own. And so that's the balance of where it worked out for me, because the want and the desire of the goal was bigger than anything else. You know, I just had to hustle, and I was just planning to get it by any means. And so that was really how the balance came about, you know.
I think we can all, for people who had the fortune to have a college experience, and Jasmine is having her experience. I think that's a tough balance, bro, because there's a lot of money being spent on education, and you're like, man, but I got to keep my passion going. So I applaud you, man, for getting to school and also being an amazing artist, man. So
yeah, and I want to say the same thing, you know, as a young Cambodian American girl coming up in the world, it's very inspirational to see that you're doing something, because literally, I mean, it's literally the Cambodians, Hmongs, and people and kids like us don't graduate from high school. We don't even make it past high school. And so that's just amazing to hear, and I applaud that. And I'm very proud of you, and you know, the whole Cambodian American community is proud of you. And you know,
can I throw something in? And also, dude, you're excellent, dude. It's not like you were like mediocre, like college.
right.
You know what I'm saying? You aren't a mediocre, you know, artist either. You know, there's a certain level that you are able to attain and continue to sustain, dude. And that's something to applaud, man. You're just not a mediocre person. So anyway, I had to throw that in there, brother.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Well,
you know, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
go.
My biggest thing, you know, is something that my mom always told me, was like, you know, if you're gonna take your shot at something, or if you're gonna do something, do it 1,000%, right? If I'm gonna go to school, I want to go and I want to try the hardest field out there, because I want to test myself. If I'm gonna be an artist, go figure out how you can outdo yourself, be better than everybody else. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the mind state of what we should have, and that's something that I try to, you know, portray in my music or in just me as a person. I think that for a lot of minorities, we have this idea of like this invisible threshold, right? That we can only attain ourselves to just right here, when really that's invisible. That really don't even exist. But that's how we think.
Right.
But we be able to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and to do that, you got to take a lot of risks. It takes fear and it takes failure. But once you understand that failure is not a bad thing, that's when you can start overcoming those little ladders and you start to climb over that little threshold. You know what I'm saying?
How important is it to share the Cambodian American experience? Like, where are your parents from? Give us a little bit background, and but mostly your Cambodian side and what you've been through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my pops, he came to America first. He had to go to the Philippines. He stayed there for a little bit, and he came to America to get a job and try to get us going. And then my mom came over with 2 kids, and then she gave birth to 3 of us over here, me being one. I was born in Arizona, and yeah. Then her and her friends, they had like a little furniture business, Arizona, that ended up not working out. But they split everything. They sold the business. Came to Long Beach. She started sewing clothes in the kitchen, hustling, just trying to make ends meet, but just saving up money, right? Just the idea of a hard worker taking their kids to school, feeding us, making sure we doing our homework, just whatnot. My dad, he was working, putting food on the table, and that's just to tell their story a little bit. But when you come into Long Beach, you fleeing a country of war, coming to Long Beach to meet a new war, right? Now you facing a war of finding identity, you fighting stereotypes, you fighting discrimination, gang violence, drug wars, just a gang of things that that's not the norm that a lot of us first generation is now going up against. So now we fighting off how do we place ourselves in this society? How do we fit in with being ourselves? We're not trying to be somebody else. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that was good. I mean, give us a few keys to success. What are the keys to success?
Keys to success. I think there's no like cookie cutter way, but I think what I would tell somebody, anybody at least, whether you're young, older, or whoever might need this, is you need to be able to dream big. I think once you make a dream so big that seems attainable to you, why not, right? Why not reach for the stars? Because you start to believe it so much. Every day you start to think it. Every day you start to dream it, and you start doing things that you never noticed you start doing until you start reaching that point. And maybe even if you don't reach that point, you start to feel like every day you got closer. You start to look back at where you once was. You're like, damn, I really got close. But dreaming big means you also got to put the work in. It takes a lot of hard work. Dreaming big don't mean like you just gonna have this fairy tale and you're gonna think about it and not do nothing about it. You gotta work hard, dream big, and you gotta be dedicated. You know what I'm saying? And this is not like, usually just a few tell somebody, but when I tell somebody these keywords, you gotta think outside the box, right? Working hard meaning like what? What does that just mean? Going to school every day, going to work? You got to do more than just that. You got to go to school every day and go to work. You got to think about the future, thinking about ways on how to sustain yourself, on how to be a boss. You don't want to go to work, find a job where somebody owns you now. Why don't you think about going to school, getting your situation together and building yourself a company or something like that, giving other people opportunities, and thus far building a legacy that's bigger than now just you, but now it's branching out to the community and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So that falls back into dreaming big. You got to think on a bigger scale of what you think you could do, but what's impossible. You know what I'm saying? Which is really not impossible. So yeah.
So what are your dreams and like long-term dreams and aspirations?
Yeah, for yourself and for the community.
For yourself and for the community. Because I know for me personally, it is to make it as far as I can with basketball and graduate, be the first in my family to graduate, and also go to Cambodia to go meet my family that I have out there. How about you?
So, some of my goals is to be able to build a company where I'm providing opportunities for those who are just like myself, right? For younger minorities who might not have the answers or the right resources readily available to them, that's right in front of them, as far as access to cameras, access to programs that teach you about arts and creativity, or access to the internet, access to Wi-Fi, transportation, or just access to a global network of peers who are like-minded. Because when you start to find like-minded people, you become more confident. You start to talk to people and you start to build relationships of a network that allows you to go harder because you know that you are not alone. You know what I'm saying? Besides that, being able to own land. I think owning land or having ownership of anything is a very important, not just goal of mine, but I think should be an important goal for people. Because if you don't have no ownership of anything, whether it's of yourself at least, you're gonna keep owing yourself to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, when you die or when you pass on, you want to make sure your legacy is something that's gonna live on forever. Whether that's through your music, through your work, through your investments, or you know, or anything. You know. So yeah, that's just a few of my goals.
Long Beach. When is the next show? Like, what's next? When what's coming up?
Selling out the House of Blues, man. That is so cool. So
yeah, that was quite the feeling. That was actually my second time that I performed there. But the first time, I performed as an opener, and they were just so impressed by my stage presence and just by my energy. They was like, we gotta get this dude his own thing. So a year later, I had wrapped up the album. I went there for an interview. I showed them the album. They're just like, damn, this cat is just like, he just move a little different, you know? And I think that's when we came up with the opportunity. It's like, hey, do you want to headline your own show? And so, we got to it. We set it up. We did everything we could. We sold it out. And yeah, it was an amazing night. So
was that one of your biggest accomplishments as an artist right there to sell out the House of Blues like that, man? Or finishing this EP? I don't know.
I think, being able to, it's definitely up there, being able to sell out your first headlining show, close to your hometown, being able to, successfully put out an album that everybody enjoys, being able to, be independent, have complete ownership of your own catalog and being in control of your vision of who you are, of how you want to represent yourself, you know what I'm saying? Like those are definitely things that are up there for me. There's a I don't know how much time we got left. Is it?
Go ahead.
There's this cat out there I've been meaning to link up with. I don't know him, but he reached out because he had just this incredible story, and he ended up being a part of this nonprofit organization, and he does a lot of talks to youth, minorities who are like come from troubled backgrounds and stuff like that. And we've been scheduling to link up for the longest, but if I do get the chance to link up with him, I definitely want to involve y'all and just step out, have a bite, just get acquainted, like what's up,
All right, my brother, I appreciate your time, man. I really do, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, turn up.
All right,
yeah.